Helen Keller. Introduction. As a little girl, Helen Keller enjoyed searching for bird eggs in the grass with her friend Martha. Helen couldn't hear or speak, so she used her hands to tell Martha when she wanted to go to search for eggs. She would put her hands together and touch to the ground. Martha understood what that meant, and the two would run off to hunt for eggs. Using her hands was just one of the many ways Helen found to communicate with the world around her. Becoming deaf-blind. Helen Keller was born on June 27, 1880, in Tuscumbia, Alabama. When she was just 19 months old, she became very sick with high fever. Helen got better, but she could no longer hear or see. She was deaf and blind. As a child, Helen found a way to communicate with people around her. She used hand movements or signs to, to tell others what she wanted or needed. Helen's friend Martha, the daughter of the family cook, was one of the first people to understand her signs. By the time Helen was 7, she and Martha had made around 60 different signs. Still, Helen was frustrated that other people often couldn't understand her. Learning new ways to communicate. When Helen was a child, there were schools for people who were deaf and schools for people who were blind. A few teachers, however, knew how to teach children who were both deaf and blind. In 1886, Helen's parents hired Annie Sullivan to be Helen's teacher. Sullivan had just graduated from Perkins School for the Blind. While there, she'd become friends with Laura Bridgman, the first deaf-blind person to learn language. Bridgman taught Sullivan how to fingerspell, using different hand shapes and represent letters of the part of to spell out words. This is part of American Sign Language (ASL), a language used by deaf people. As Helen's teacher, Sullivan taught Helen how to fingerspell. One day, Sullivan poured water over one of Helen's hands. Then she used her fingers to spell out WATER on the palm of Helen's other hand. Helen used her fingers to spell the same word on Sullivan's hand. After a few months, Helen had learned hundreds of new words and sentences. Helens realized her sense of touch could also help her learn to read, and soon Helen could read Braille. Braille is a form of reading communication that uses sets of raised dots on paper. Each of each set of dots represent a letter of the alphabet. People touch the dots with their fingers to read. Helen also learned to understand what people were saying by placing her fingers on their lips. As people spoke, Helen could feel their leaves change shape. Keller goes to college. When Keller was older, she went to school for blind children and deaf children. Keller enjoyed learning and wanted to go to college. Even though she was smart and a good student, many people didn't think she would succeed. In 1900, Keller started school at Radcliffe College. Sullivan attended classes with Keller, signing, signing the words into Keller's hand as the teacher gave the lesson. After, Keller would type up Keller would type up the lesson using a typewriter or a Braille writer, a Braille writer. When Keller's textbooks weren't written in Braille, Sullivan read them and then signed the words for Keller. Although Sullivan communicated the lesson to Keller, Keller did her own work. In 1904, she graduated with honors. Keller adult years. After college, Keller wrote many books and essays. She traveled around the country, speaking about the experiences of deaf and blind people. Keller saw that many people with disabilities many people lived in po- poverty. She wanted to help them. In 1924, Keller joined the American Foundation for Blind, where she worked for more than 40 years. She helped open more schools for children who were blind and helped get more books printed in Braille. Later, she traveled around the world, visiting more than 35 countries to the to help disabled people outside the United States. Keller has Keller also fought for the rights of women, black people, and workers. In 1920, she helped start an organization to protect the rights of people in the United States. It still exists today. Many people disagreed with Keller's views and thought being deaf and blind meant she wasn't smart. They wouldn't listen to that what she had to say. Remembering Helen Keller. Throughout her life, many people treated Keller unfairly because of her disabilities. People often decided things for her instead of letting her make her own choices. They thought that they thought they knew better than she did what was best for her. Keller had to improve over and over again that she could do things for herself, but the died in 1968. She'd accomplished many great things. She was a capable deaf-blind woman. She wanted the world to know that disabled people can think, learn and do great things.